Hello and welcome to another eBay vintage paperback prices video. So we're going to start off with just a few lots that I was watching myself, and then we'll go into what's become a bit of a science fiction special. So this was a particularly nice batch of vintage Agatha Christie paperbacks, and I'm always interested in those. Even though I've got a fair old collection, there's lots that I'm still looking for. There's lots of different jackets, and I just love collecting them. And these weren't too bad, a bit low grade, but £73 for that little lot. Now this was a particularly nice batch of late 50s and 60s Penguin crime titles. And the 60s ones in particular you don't often see in batches, and these were a nice little run, this one, but sadly I didn't get them. But it was one that I was keeping my eyes on. Yeah, some good stuff there. £74 that lot went for. This was a nice little batch of sort of mid-60s, early 70s Puffin books. There were actually some quite scarce editions in here, including some first Roald Dahls and some early Paddington and Wombles paperbacks. But once again, I didn't win this lot. It went for just over £50. It was a good bargain, particularly if the person who won them was going to be reading them. A couple of little box sets there as well. The Spike Milligan one is quite nice. I think I have actually got that one. This was a nice run of Michael Moorcock paperbacks, and this was a great way to get these. £51 this lot went for, and far, far cheaper than buying the books brand new today. And they looked in great condition as well. All sort of uniform editions. Not first editions, just nice uniform editions. Certainly an acquired taste, but I don't mind the odd Michael Moorcock once in a while. Certainly read quite a bit of him as a teenager. As Stormbringer, the classic, of course. And this was the vintage 1960s Penguin Donkey. It's the Penguin designed bookcase, or designed to hold penguins and magazines. This was the 60s adaptation. There was a 30s one. I haven't got either, but this is one that I am definitely looking for. So this is the only Bond entry this time round, and it's the famous domino letter. Now I couldn't zoom in. It wouldn't let me, put the pictures large, so I've zoomed in a bit. But this was, I believe the edition of Thunderball is incorrect. It should be the first movie adaptation. But that is the famous domino letter for 100. This was fantastic. This was a nice lot of Gothic paperbacks, 56 American Gothic paperbacks. This was a bargain. They only worked out about £1 a pop, and there's some absolute beauties there. Admittedly not in the best of conditions, but they tick a lot of boxes with fans of the Gothic romance titles. Certainly some beauties there. A mixture of reprints and original printings, but what a way to dip your toe into the genre. Pick up a lot like that, you'll do very well. Once again, I would have bid on that, even with the overseas postage. It was that good a lot. But sadly, didn't win that lot. $71. This was nice. This is James Herbert. This is the graphic novels. It's like the fourth and final one in the Rats sequence. This is a pre-publicity one with a shop display poster and a couple of letters from the publisher. I actually sold this back in the day. I had a whole dump bin, so I've never seen a dump bin of them turn up, or a dump bin header. But it's not a bad graphic novel. It's not brilliant, but it is what it is, I suppose. Part of the Rats story. This was nice. This is the US Signet first edition of, actually I don't know if it is the first, but it's the Signet original jacket for 1984. George Orwell's classic. Yeah, I'm not sure if this actually is the first, but it's definitely the original jacket. Yeah, look at that. It's a reprint in actual fact. A 10th printing. Had quite a bit of damage. Look, silverfish damage. Still went for £40 in the UK, and I thought as a counterbalance we'd show the original UK first edition, UK paperback. It's the original printing, but it's not the first printing, so that's what the original looks like. It's a penguin, but once again this is a reprint from a few years later, 1959, and that went for similar money, £40, but you can definitely get them cheaper than that. This was the first paperback printing of Animal Farm, a real classic. A little bit of wear and tear, but nothing too dramatic. Name on the inside front cover there, and a bit of spine detachment. But it is the first edition from 1951. 27.07 that one sold for. This was nice. This was the 60s, 1984, and it's got that eye on the front cover there. Very, very nice, and this is quite a collectible edition in its own right. This one sold for $19.99. Yeah, very nice edition of 1984. Dated 1962, that copy. Quite scarce. So Philip K. Dick, a highly collectible author, and worth picking up in, I kid you not, virtually any edition, because they're all collected. He didn't write that many books, and there are collectors who collect them in all the different editions. So if you come across any Philip K. Dick, old or new, grab them. This one's fairly common. This is the US paperback first of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I've had 2 copies of this through my hands myself, and in the American first, so I feel it was probably sold in the UK. This copy went for about $100. I sold one of my spares recently, went for about £60, something like that. Yeah, definitely out there, that one. This is the door book for A Scanner Darkly. Fallen to bits condition. It's door 575 in the numbered series. Look at the state of this. I wouldn't touch it. Absolutely ridiculous condition. It's a first, but it's a first which is a dog, an absolute dog of a copy. Awful. That should be bright yellow. $90 that sold for. This is nice. This is the Penguin edition. This is the later edition, 3 Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch. It's got that great classic Penguin science fiction jacket. It's so recognisable. A cover by David Pelham, the noted designer. He did a lot of penguins. This was lovely. This was a lot of 240 Isaac Asimov pulp magazines, but these were the recent ones, sort of the 80s and 90s digest size. They weren't ever a pulp, but they used Asimov's name. Huge run of them. Unusual to see so many in one hit. Lots of great reading to be had there. Yeah, very nice. Obviously an original owner collection, bought from new and saved religiously month after month. $150, best offer, seems a bargain. This surprised me because this was $175 or best offer, and we saw a much better copy of this, a mint one I think last time, which didn't go for anything like that money, so it just shows. But it is a classic. Asimov's iRobot, first printing. It's very nice. I'll give him that. That's about as good as my one is, to be honest. Now, this was nice. This was a batch of 44 Isaac Asimovs. A few early editions, but predominantly later ones. Sort of 80s and 90s printings. Still, I think a good way to get into an author is buy a little job lot like this. Usually much cheaper than buying them individually. This lot went for £80.75, and this is another batch of a mixture of British and American classic science fiction. predominantly. There's a few odd 60s, but it's mainly 70s and 80s editions. Some great jackets. It's a real mishmash though, so I think whoever bought that must be really into the genre and quite heavily read already in it. But there was some good stuff in there, that's for certain. You can see all over the place, publisher-wise. This is interesting. This is a Robert Silverberg, one of his early sleaze titles. This one under the pseudonym Lauren Beauchamp. Another Night, Another Love, published by Midwood. Unfortunately, all we get to see is the cover, but that went for $50. And here's another one, another by Don Elliott, which is another of Silverberg's more common pseudonyms, published by Midnight Reader and Nightstand Books. Shame House. Also quite scarce. They're all scarce, those. I think this one went for about $30, was it? Yeah, $29.95. This was a batch of 49 Robert Heinleins. Once again, more recent editions, sort of 80s and 90s copies. Great way to pick up the author. I don't mind Robert Heinlein at all. He wrote some classics. Certainly my favourite is Starship Troopers, and here is a copy of that. Now this is a reprinted 4 square edition. I've got the original of this, and I think it's an even better jacket than this one. But I think this is the late 60s one, and 4 square in the UK published it in 62. I think it was the first printing in the UK in paperback. And 61 was the first 4 square edition. That's the one I've got. That's the one from April 1967. Still a nice jacket, but not the first. $50 that sold for. This is lovely. This is a Dell 10 Center. That great cover of Universe. These are very, very thin. They've hardly got spine on. They're almost like pamphlets. A very short story. $45. There's numerous copies online for around that sort of money. This was gorgeous. Not because of the condition of the book. It is the first June paperback from Ace. It's a big old thick book, but look at that. Signed for Rodney, Frank Herbert. $500 that one went for. Now, I've shown this one before as well. This is the US edition of the June Encyclopedia. Very, very scarce book. It's never been reprinted. It's out of print now, so fans are after it. So this was the US printing, and they're both, it's a trade paperback size. Lots of new June material in it, so it is essential if you're reading the books. That went for $219.99, and here's the one that I remember. This is the British edition published by Corgi. This was $152. I remember seeing this one in the Remainder shop back in the 80s. Huge stack of them for 50p a pop, and I picked up a few because I used to buy and sell stuff back then. Sadly never kept one for myself, and mine was mint. Can't keep it all. But yeah, if you ever come across it in any edition, there's even a book club as well, also highly collectible. So keep your eyes peeled for the June Encyclopedia. This was, well, I couldn't believe this is 3 later New English Library British reprints, sort of mid to late 70s editions. They are the original covers, but they're not first printings. £75 this lot went for. Well over the top. I mean, that's ridiculous money for that. They're not worth that at all. But June at the moment, I guess on the back of the new series coming, is hot. So June prices are inflated at the moment. This was nice. This was one of the very early and scarce Philip Jose Farmer books. Fire and Night. These are sort of semi-erotic, I guess. Signed copy as well. You do see signed Philip Jose Farmers around. I think he must have done quite a lot of events. A bit like Frank Herbert. There's lots of signed stuff out there by him. This was one published by Beacon. It's like their take on Flesh, by Jose Farmer. And Beacon in the US were predominantly a sleaze publisher, but they did a small batch of Galaxy science fiction novels, and this is one of them. I think they're great, those ones. This was good. This was a bargain. $19.99. Admittedly not mint copies, but that's 3 rare Philip Jose Farmer books. I mean, Image of the Beast and Blown go for over £20 on their own anyway, when they're in nice nick. So that was a veritable bargain, and one I missed. I would have had them in a heartbeat. Now, time, unusually mid-video, to thank my brilliant Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members. They support me every month, and I really, really do appreciate their donations to the channel and help me keep it going. Now, this was a great one. This is onto the Star Trek books now, and this is the one by Andrew Robinson, who actually played Garak in the series Deep Space Nine. And this is his famous one, Stitch in Time. This one went for an awful lot of money. First and only printing of that, and never got reprinted. $450 that one went for. And this was another lot which I couldn't quite make out. I don't understand why this has gone for so much, but it only had the one bid. And obviously the books are brand new, but I think there must be some scarce ones in there. $290. This is a bit more like it. This was a best offer, and it was a full set of all the Next Generation books. Some of them were signed by Peter David. It was $200 also best offer. Once again, it wouldn't allow me to zoom in, but you can see the pictures there, and you can see there's a few signed editions. But I didn't think that was bad for what looked like a very high quality, high grade set. Here's another copy of A Stitch in Time. This one went for just over £100. And this one's got a little signed bookplate in by Andrew Robinson. And that's much more in line with what they usually go for, about £100 a pop. This was £108 with the signature in. This was phenomenal. So this was a set of Star Trek photo novels advertised as like new. And boy, oh boy, are they new. They're just incredible. Absolutely incredible condition. I've never seen them so minty looking and white as these. A fantastic set. Really, really mint. $135. Not bad, I guess. This was an interesting lot. $150 Canadian dollars. And this is some Star Trek colouring and puzzle books. Quite unusual, these, and a lot of these are very scarce. Some from the early 70s. I don't think there's any 60s ones in there. There's a Whitman one, but I'm sure that's mid 70s, up to early ones produced for the Star Trek the motion picture. Very, very scarce. A lot of those. That looks very early, doesn't it? Yeah, very interesting. This is scarce. Star Trek The Cooking Manual. This is paperback size. It's quite a rarity. It's published by Bantam. And I will be covering the non-fiction Star Trek books in a dedicated video quite soon. I've pretty much got them all, and I have got that one. But that's rare. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. Only ever had the one printing. $75 that sold for. This was the infamous Killing Time. This is a first and second printing, selling for $65. Neither of them mint by any means, but you can tell the one on the left is the first edition with the slightly raised golden lettering that denotes the first printing of the original Pocket Star Trek books. That's the easy way to tell. And I'm sure you're aware of the story where the book was recalled because of the homoerotic overtones between Kirk and Spock, and a second printing with those passages removed got printed a few months later. Consequently, first printings are quite scarce. This was a surprise. So this is the going rate for this. This is the large format softback for the Deep Space Nine companion. Huge book, absolutely fantastic, encyclopedic. Look at the series. It's a huge thing, and £45 this went for. This is one that could easily turn up when you're out on your travels. If you see it, you want to grab this because there's definitely demand for it. I did not know about that. This was interesting. This was a full set now of the original Target Doctor Who books. So there's just over 150 in the series, and there's a few spin-offs and one-offs. They're not all first printings by any means. They're not all mint by any means. But this set of all of them went for £1,000, all best offer. So you have to imagine it was at least 800-900, I would have thought. Full set. There they are. They do look very well looked after, very nicely displayed. All the little props there. It's lovely, isn't it? But yeah, £1,000 they went for. Now, this one went for £108, and this is one of the reprints. They're called the Blue Spine editions because they were published by Virgin, and they came out at the very end of the Doctor Who run. And these are generally reprints. It's not the first editions. And look, this is an ex-library copy, stamps, name in writing all over it. £108 for that. You wouldn't believe it, would you? This is, a known one to be quite scarce, Evil of the Daleks, but, not impossible. But quite a scarce one all the same. Good story as well. John Peel did a brilliant job of adapting that. Here's another one, The Savages, Ian Stewart Black. Another classic Blue Spine, and they're worth picking these up if you see them cheap. £51. This one, another one at £51. It's the Blue Spine, a reprint edition of Brain and Morbis. See, the reason they're collected, they've got unique cover art, and often the cover art is fantastic, like this one. And that, I believe, is the only reason they must be collected. Of course, the Doctor Who completists want every jacket, of course, but sometimes every printing. It's very nice, that one. Here's another one, The Invasion, another re-release by Ian Marter. Nice copy, a bit of foxing, but still big money for these. £45–50 a book. Who'd have thought it, eh? Yeah, £49.99. This one went for £46. It's just the bog standard edition of Fury from the Deep, one of those classic Patrick Troughton stories. All the Troughtons seemed scarce, and a lot of them didn't get published till the end of the run, when the print runs on the Target books were a little bit lower. Lovely chap, Victor Pemberton. This is the new adventures now, and there's a few, like this one, Lung Barrow, which is I think the very last one to be published. They're all quite scarce now, and there is a new book from David Howe coming out on the missing adventures and the new adventures for Christmas, and it's going to be a big book, and you can see these getting even more expensive. This one I'd never seen before. This is like a sampler. The Preludes, I believe Gary Russell was editing the series, or helping edit them at the time, and this is a sample from all the books that were in print up to that point. It is illustrated. Very, very scarce. I don't remember, I think I've ever seen this before. I think it was £160. Another one, So Vile a Sin. These are all expensive and all worth keeping your eyes peeled for, because they're out there. £125 for The Dying Days, Lance Parkin. And these are by no means one-off prices. This is what these books sell for. They are just expensive. Of course, I've saved the very best book for the last one. I think you can guess who the author might be. These are the missing adventures now. There's just a handful that are sort of around the sort of £40–50 mark. This is one of them, The Dark Path by David McKinty. 50 quid, that one. Another one, The Well-Mannered War. £44.99. Another one here. So as we watch these last few come through, just remains for me to say thank you very much for watching today. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and do leave a comment down below if you have enjoyed it. Give it the old thumbs up, and do please hit that subscribe button if you've not already, for regular vintage paperback videos such as this. Here is the beauty to finish off, a beautiful signed edition of Martian Time Slip by the wonderful Philip K. Dick. How amazing is that? Absolutely incredible. So thanks very much for watching today. I do hope you've enjoyed it. I do love putting these videos together. There'll be another one next month. And I shall look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Bye.